Hey everyone, it's Matt Donahue with your weekly market update. This week's wisdom comes from our friend Marcus Aurelius, and it is don't be ashamed of needing help. I think that's a lesson that a lot of us need to hear. We live in a culture that celebrates doing everything ourselves. We want to be independent, self-sufficient, and capable, and those are great qualities. But sometimes, as we all know, pride gets in the way of making smart decisions. Marcus Aurelius reminding us over 2,000 years ago that sometimes you're going to need help. The goal shouldn't be to prove that you can do everything by yourself. The goal should be getting done what matters most. And while that applies to life, to business, it also certainly applies to financial planning. So let's start with markets. Last week, of course, there was all the news about SpaceX and everything, but let's dig in on the numbers a little bit in terms of the environment going on around SpaceX. Investors continue to navigate a challenging environment. Inflation remains elevated. Headline CPI rose to 4.2% year over year, and core CPI rose to 2.9%. At the same time, the market is watching the Fed Reserve. We have a new Fed chairman, right? We're watching retail sales data and housing activity for clues about where the economy might be headed next. One of the most interesting stories right now is oil. Despite one of the largest oil supply disruptions we've seen in years, prices have remained relatively contained. Alternative supply routes, reduced demand in some regions, and inventory drawdowns have helped offset the impact. So the lesson there is pretty simple. Markets are more resilient than headlines suggest. Uncertainty is always there, but reacting emotionally to every headline is not a successful long-term strategy. Discipline matters more than prediction. Now, discipline in tax planning, as we all know, that's super important as well. This week, I'd like to focus a little bit on younger people, students, graduates, young workers entering the workforce. Good tax planning, even at that age, starts with understanding the rules and making informed decisions throughout the years. Proper withholding, using your education credits, student loan interest deductions, retirement plan contributions, record keeping. As simple as all that sounds, they make a difference. And too often, people think the tax planning only happens when they file a return. In reality, tax planning happens all year long. Every dollar legally saved in taxes is another dollar that can be invested, saved, gifted, or used to do whatever you want with. From an estate planning standpoint, let's just drill in a little bit on insurance coverage reviews. A lot of people set up insurance years ago and then they never look at it again. The thing is, life changes, families grow, homes appreciate, businesses evolve, responsibilities increase. And when you think about health insurance, disability insurance, homeowners coverage, umbrella liability policies, life insurance, long-term care insurance, all that deserves a periodic review because estate planning is about a lot more than the documents. It's about protecting the people you care about and making sure they have some clarity and resources when the unexpected happens. The best time to identify a coverage gap is before you need it. So I look at this week's market update, tax planning, estate planning. I keep coming back to Marcus Aurelius. There is no shame in needing help. No one is born understanding markets, tax law, insurance planning, or estate strategies. That's why we exist. The strongest people aren't the ones who refuse assistance. They're the ones who seek guidance when it helps them better accomplish their mission. So stay disciplined with the investments, stay proactive in your tax planning, be intentional with your estate planning. And hey, remember, if you need help, ask for it. Have a great week, and we will see you next week.